Alright, what's going on, y'all? Panic here. I'm back with another lock video. This is my lot of numbers attempt to get this Medeco biaxial picked on camera. I've tried a lot of times. We are going to try it again because we don't quit for shit. And that's just what we do. So, break the lock. You're supposed to do that when you're picking a Medeco on camera. Shows the pins are not preset. I'll own it in terms of not being able to get this open on camera. I mean, I see that as my technique needs to refine. You know, I'm not blaming the lock, I'm not blaming my tools, I'm not blaming anything else. I'm not blaming blind luck, which I would take a little bit of blind luck at this point, don't get me wrong, but I think it is things speaking to me to say, you know, you need to refine your technique. That's where I take it, not I own it. I've, though, just about worn out the keyway on this Medeco. I've started to waller out the top notch of this. Like, this is a, you know, top of keyway wrench, you know, I mean, it's straight like a golf club almost, you know. But the first wrench I made a little bit too square, and it was slightly too thick. It wasn't quite wide enough, you know, to sit in there right. And I tore like a little notch out of the top of this right here, and it's gradually gotten bigger and bigger, and it's starting to get where my wrench is almost down here. You know, I don't know how much longer I have been able to pick this. I'll get a hold of our favorite US-based lock guy and see, you know, what we can do about it. If he can maybe send me another plug key and some new key pins for it, or if I just need to buy another one and chalk this one off to my learning Medeco. TBD on that one, which I don't mind paying for my lessons. I've paid for a lot of them in life, and a lot of them are a lot more expensive than a $30 lock. I paid for mine, and I paid for my kids too. When you get kids that are about grown, you'll start paying for theirs. Both life lessons and educational lessons cost money, just what it is.
I had no choice. The man attacked me. I was defending myself. But there's more to it than just...
Oh, well then, maybe we should all gather around the fire.
I mean, if
I hope you guys don't mind the show that's in the background. You know, for these long picking sessions like this, I'm doing multiple takes on camera. It'd be one thing if I knew I could sit down and pick this lock in 10 minutes, you know, but when I know I'm going to be sitting here picking for a couple hours, it helps me to have background noise. You know, it's like the silence is deafening kind of thing. It plays with my focus. Makes me relax a little. We just did a pretty good false set. I don't think it's our deep false set though. There's two false sets you get on this lock. One is when you're in a combination of true gates and false gates, you'll get a slight false set. And then when you line up fully into true gates, that false set gets deeper, you know, because the way that the prongs on that plug bind into the pin, or on the sidebar, I mean, bind into the pins. Those prongs go deeper when it's fully set versus when you're sitting in false gates. They kind of play with you a little bit because the amount of false set you get is not consistent. Like, it's not consistent enough to just mark it on the plug and the outer, because, you know, your sidebar, I actually was able to replicate this when I had the plug out messing with it. I took the plug out, put the key pins in it, put the sidebar in the plug, and I was just holding tension on the sidebar with my finger and moving the key pins back and forth, you know, getting an idea how they move, how the sidebar engages and stuff like that. And it, like, say you've got pins, you know, like your back three, you know, 6 through 4 are all set rotationally, and like say 1 or 2 of the ones in your front are out or in false gates, that sidebar can engage cocked like this, and so the amount of false set that you get varies. It's not the same. You can't say that's the exact amount of false set you get when you're in false gates. It doesn't work that way. It all feels differently. But the way the key pins feel when you're in true gates all the way across, now that doesn't change. That I can usually tell. And this lock has 6 mushroom pins in it. And when I'm in true gates, those mushroom pins will give counter rotation if I start lifting on pins. Just got to be real careful doing that, because if you start lifting key pins and you're not set rotationally, it'll knock you out of rotation every time. You'll have to go back through and play this little game of what I call medeco whack-a-mole, of setting a couple of pins and working back and forth. Some of that I think is pins moving around on me, as I'm setting other pins. One's in the back are moving or front are moving when I'm setting the back ones, vice versa. But and some of that I think is true gates and false gates messing with me, because like say you got a back pin in a true gate, and you got a back pin in a false gate, and you go to setting front pins, and they were binding on the pin, but then you get a front pin into a gate. That false gate on that back pin is going to start binding all of a sudden, because your sidebar is engaging deeper than it was when you last checked that pin. And so I'm still in that slight false set. Pin 3 is binding. Okay, pin 2 just gave me a little deeper false set. You hear that click, click? That's your sidebar clicking past a couple, 2 or 3 of those pins at a time. You're hearing those little pops in the lock. It's almost a sandy feeling on my tensioner when it does it. Reminds me a lot of picking a pack lock, the way the pins feel when you set them. You got that sandy crunch. No counter rotation yet. Yeah, that's not the deep false set. That's real light. Pin 2's binding. Probably hit a false gate on pin 2 before. That's why it gave me that slight change in my set.
For her bride, and then give her money for a safe passage to the colonies. After things had settled down.
I'm going to rest my hands for just a second, hit my vape, relax my head, think about things, because I'm getting click test all the way down the row. But it's not right. Something's not there. Usually when I get that, I'm in like maybe one false gate usually, and if I can actually find that pin and get it set, because like when your sidebar is really close like that, what I'm guessing is going on is that all your pins are not binding. They all feel like the click test, and the difference between that click test on a false gate when you're close and the click test on a true gate is somewhat minuscule. It's really small. So what I've found, I think that you pretty much need to do in that situation is to go through and just start pulling on all of them again until you hit one that just all of a sudden moves, and it's like, your false set just goes deep and you're there. I think that was kind of a bit of a revelation that I hit last night, because I got 4 opens with this thing back to back last night. They were all off camera, of course. But I didn't want to film because my wife was sleeping, and I like to give commentary when I film, but our house isn't huge. I mean, it's 3-bedroom, but she could still hear me. She's sleeping in the next room. So I try to be courteous with those things. 5. Oh, pin 5 just did a thing. Yeah, that just went deep. I think it was pin 5. That's that deep offset right there. If you can see that difference, I don't know if you can see that on camera or not, but that crunch crunch, that's that sidebar doing its thing.
Still can't believe you're truly here.
And that's something you want to see. I think we might be there. Now, setting to shear on this thing, you got to take your time. You know, this is one where I tend to fuck up a lot because those mushroom pins. Take your time, go slow, you know, ease into shear with heavy tension, and you're going to drop pins. So just let them drop, set the one you're on, and come back and hit those again, the ones that drop. If you just keep pushing them up, you know, setting the ones you drop as you drop them, it will eventually all set. What you don't want to do is overset, and that's where I tend to screw this up. Because if you overset one, it'll knock you out of rotation, and you're right back where you were. So here's, yep, we're getting counter rotation. Here's pin 6, pin 5. Pin 4 is a real short set. It does not take much. Barely hit pin 4 like that. Pin 3. Pin 2. Pin 1 is the one that likes to drop everything else. Okay, I didn't get pin 2 all the way set. It's still, there it went. Pin 1 is the one that likes to drop like every other pin when I set it. And it's the one I like to use my deep hook on because this angle right here, sometimes I even feel like I almost have to hold my pick wrong. I have to hold it like this just to get that hard downward angle on it. Or sometimes I'll pick up my vise and tip it, you know. When I'm doing it on the couch, I usually have my vise like this when I'm setting pin 1. We might actually try that right now. Because pin 1 likes to drop everything when I set it, and it's such a steep angle. There it is right there. What do we do? I just lost my false set. I think I was on 2 and not 1. Let's try adjusting 2 here. See what happens. There it went. Yeah, it was 2. Let's double check here. Try it again. Yeah, I think we're there. Let's try lifting. No, something's not right. I lost it. I gotta. Yeah, that's not a deep false set anymore. Might have hit pin 3. Yeah, pin 3's binding. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what happens when you overset one pin lifting to shear on this lock. You're almost there. Medeco says, no sir. Okay, I think we're back where we need to be. Let's try it. What hook do I got? Is that a deep? That is a deep. Pin 2. Pin 2 is the one I moved.
You're free.
Try and get it over.
Get the treasure. Why did you go back to the prison?
Couldn't take it with me.
I just pushed pin 2 up into the
Prisoners needed me.
pin chamber. There it went. Back out. There it went. Yeah. You can tell too if you're not right. Another way to tell what pins are not right is when you're click testing them. When your pick runs across that pin and you click test, that little slope on your pick will push the pin up slightly, you know. And when that pin pushes up and it does not come back down, you know that the sidebar is binding on that pin, you know, so you need to fix it.
Pretend it was you talking to me.
Yeah, everything's clicking nice and smooth except 3. What are you doing, 3? 3's good. Let's try lifting 1, see what happens. No. So close, man. We're making headway though. We gotta keep the glass half full here. You know what I'm saying? Because you should have seen my first few attempts at getting this on film, or even my early opens. When I first started getting opens on this lock, it was taking me like an hour to open it, seriously. And now, at least when I do get opens, it usually happens within 10-15 minutes tops. And I say that in terms of the time from when I sit down and rake my pins to randomize them and then start picking, and time to open is usually between 10 and 15 minutes when I do get an open. And then sometimes the stars just don't align, and I sit here and get it 2 pins from shear and about to open and overset a pin, and then I start over, and it can turn into a pretty endless and it's at times frustrating loop. But you've just got to relax, think about the journey, and take your time. It's all a matter of mindset. I see this a lot in the Discord of guys talking about how that's not my thing, or I don't enjoy doing that, and things like that. And I get it. Don't get me wrong. This is a hobby, and we're all supposed to enjoy what we enjoy of it, and do things we enjoy. But at the same time, nobody likes to suck at their hobbies. And if you want to be better at something, you need to take an approach with an open mind, and you need to look for the lessons where the lessons are given. And sometimes those lessons are not obvious. That's in terms of things like challenge locks and harder level locks and locks that are, inconvenient to pick, things you got to make tools for and stuff like that. Is that there's always something to gain from those situations. There's always something to learn, and if you approach it with an open mind, it's going to make you better at the end of the day. And I think especially a lot of our younger crowd does not understand that, it seems, at all. But I'm not being judgmental. I am being constructively criticizing. So I it's not that I take issue with what those people are doing. I offer it as words of encouragement for anybody else who may hear this that may be struggling with that.
My wife.
Okay. We're still in and out of that false set.
I thought she was dead. By the grace of God, she came back to me.
Everything's click testing. I've noticed if you got a slight false set and everything's click testing, pretty much all you can do is go through and start trying to move the pins in the direction they need to go. I mean, I've obviously got this lock mapped to a degree. I've picked it hundreds of times. I definitely know which way to turn each pin. But if you're getting, we're right back where we need to be. That's the deep set right there. It lines up pretty much when you're fully rotationally set. If you were to draw a line from this core right there, you come right up between that E and that D on medeco right there. That's how I know where I'm at. And that slight false set is more like over here. But like I said, the slight one ranges from just barely this side of plumb to over here, and that depends on how many pins are in. False gates and true gates can seem to change that quite a bit. Pin 6. What's funny about setting these to shear is there really doesn't seem to be a lot to do with binding order about it. You can pretty much go right down the bean row. I mean, the only one that doesn't like to be set early on this lock is pin 1. And pin 1 without fail will just about drop every other pin when I set it. But you have to set the other pins first, or you just drop everything. Or you'll overset it. And that's what happened to me last time. It fucked me. It was pin 2. Well, that was pin 1, wasn't it? Yeah, that was pin 1. Yeah, because I dropped like at least 3 other pins when I set 1.
Took you quite a long time to figure that out, didn't it?
And there's this weird crunch when I get a pin set. It feels like when it's actually getting set properly, I'll somewhat lose my false set on that first counter rotation, and I feel it kind of click, and then I have to hit that heavy tension to it's almost like I'm pushing the rest of that pin up, above the shear with tension. because if I try to do it with just the pick, I'll overset. Oversets are bad, okay? Which pin are you? That's what, 5?
Had me killed.
Well, you're the one that told me to be kind to the lass.
And you got to be careful because
I told you to thank
these key pins, I forget, somebody told me what the name of them before, but there's like 4 of them in this lock that have the, it looks like an upside down almost gin spool on the key pin, and those will counter rotate on you right into an overset, so the feedback on it can be confusing.
you never
You got to be
fell in love
careful.
with anyone else.
I didn't fall in love.
You tell me about your son. Why couldn't you tell me about this?
I am right there. Everything feels set. I'm missing something, and it's one pin that's probably just needs a little bump.
Why?
But that's how I end up oversetting, is I'll go to checking pins that are already set, and I hit one. That's pin 1. Look at that. See that counter rotation on 1?
I'm gonna tell you for fear
I don't like doing this, but sometimes just for pin 1, I gotta hold my pick like a freaking white belt
honor, family, life itself to see you
to get the. Ah.
I know you left me.
Pin 1 is so hard to set. He is an absolute fucker.
Left you.
I move pin 2. That's my false setback.
Forced me to go back.
Pin
I
3.
would have died gladly and
Pin
gladly
4 is
with you.
binding. Is that my?
Want to blame me for that?
Yeah, I think I'm in the shallow false set again.
Go for Brianna's sake. I cannot regret
Trying to figure out where I need to move some things around and get back to my.
Would you blame me for coming
Yeah,
back?
pin 6 moved a little bit.
Yes. No.
There it is, right there, pin 5. I think we're back where we need to be, so let's try it.
We had a heart to live half a man.
If this ends up being a 45-minute pick video, you know what, I apologize, but I am tired of shooting. Said I'm at least a dozen takes in, if not a couple more than that. I kind of quit counting after like 8 or 9.
Sometimes I hold you dead. Sometimes I could see it. Him with you day and night, lying with you, taking your body, holding my bear, and God, I could kill you for it.
I don't have to imagine it.
Really?
That was an overset, almost an overset. And I let the pin back down rather than overset and fuck up again.
I'm damned one way or the other. If I felt anything for him, I'm faithless.
It felt like I was about to overset that pin, so I just let go and dropped it.
She would have turned on your heel and left her out of work. But having seen you again, I would do far worse than lie. Kill you.
Now that's an interesting thought about pin 1 being such a bastard. That it may be part of what I'm doing wrong is that when I'm sitting on the couch, I can take my vise and I can tip it like this, and when I go to set pin 1, I can lean it way back, pop it in like that. But when I'm sitting here, you know, my hand's against the table and that angle is awkward. It could be part of what's changing. And I'm sitting here going through this lock with a deep hook, which is not a good idea with this thing. I shouldn't be doing that. Yeah, I definitely dropped about every other pin when I set pin 1. Let's try to set them again. What is not set? I'm so close again. I'm like right there. I would really appreciate it if you would open on camera for me, sir. You would be like doing me an absolute solid. Do I try pin 6 again? Pin 6 is rotating, but that could be, I don't know, that don't feel right.
Thank you.
What pin are you?
I
Pin
apologize
3.
for disturbing the household.
I should be apologizing to you.
I don't know, something doesn't feel right.
Here. That's why
I think I'm slightly underset on something.
I didn't have it in mind to
Let's
cause
try
such a
hitting-
heavy levy. Truly not.
What pin is that? Right there, that's 2. I hope that's still in cam.
Why did you tell her?
Yeah, it was pin 2. I just lost my false set. There, I just got it back. And I heard a couple other pins drop.
You told Leary to come. She's his wife. I am his wife.
Then why did you not try to find him after the war? And why did it take you 20 years to come back here?
Because I thought he was dead. In a way, he was.
Finally, there it went. There it is, guys. We're open.
Now you're back no more than a week and
On camera, too.
Fred shot traced to the ground. He's on the run
Let's
for
gut the
life.
shit out of this thing.
Well, there's no denying trouble finding my brother, but any help matters much.
I wanted to
All right.
be part of this family.
We can't leave the camera frame. So please do not screw up any of the camera frames.
Telling one another they're alive. What, do you think we were all just
Okay.
frozen in time waiting for you
Go
to
ahead and
return?
close this. I've got to go grab my elbow for these grubs. I will be right back.
I had another husband in America. And it was a matter of survival. Now, it wasn't easy, but I had to put my past behind me so that I could make that marriage work.
How far are we in on our time? We're 26 minutes in. That's not bad. We're less than 30.
Did you have any bears?
No. I never had children.
Oh, don't lose grubs.
But when he died, I decided to come back to visit Jamie's grave. to
Still a
tell
key
him
pin in there.
that I never forgot him.
Sometimes these key pins can be a little cantankerous coming out of here.
That I found him alive.
Tweezers.
I hear truth in what you're telling me. I can see in your eyes there's still something you're keeping.
I'm going to get my headlamp actually because the light's not super good in here.
I didn't want to put my trust in you again. When a horse breaks its leg, you put it out of its misery because it'll never heal right. Neither will we.
Alright. Key pin. Driver. Spring.
My mother is still alive as a killer all over again.
Jamie's retired to the stables.
If you haven't seen one of my picking videos before and you wonder why I'm wearing a headlamp in the house, it's because my vision is not quite what it used to be close up. I'm actually working on getting me a pair of reading glasses. My health insurance renewal is this month, so I'm going to add. I've had eyes like a hawk all my life, and I still do at range. I can see just fine. I mean, I can shoot the ass out of the net at 400 yards, but my close-up vision has been messing with me. I mean, I'm 42, so I'm at that age where your eyes start to, from what I'm told, degrade a little bit.
Feels like happiness to you.
My close-up vision, though, if I don't have like bright light, especially, is not that great. So this next month, I'm gonna add vision to my health insurance. I've never even taken out vision on my insurance because I've never needed it. Like even still to this day, though, like for that, I'm a CDL driver, and the vision test for my medical card, I just did it a few months ago, and I actually show up as I can read the 2010 line on it.
Take back those 20 years.
Don't lose rub. I cannot tell you how many times I've gutted this lock. I've pretty well got it down pat. I've done this a lot. Me and this lock are chums. We're pals at this point. Like pretty much 2 straight weeks of almost nothing with this lock. I mean, I've got a couple of medeco M3s that I picked out a little bit. I wouldn't say focused on them though.
Blessed be the truth. And I promise you the same. Those were your
I've got
words.
one M3. It's a
We could have
mortise cylinder that I really want to repin to a different keying, and I'm not sure how I'm going to do that. I talked to Adam about it, and he said the best way to do it I would probably need to get another keyway because there's like 400 different keyways for medicos, and but the M3 mortise I've got, it's got some master wafers in it, so I could get new key pins and key it to the master wafer. Just remove the master wafers and set the key pins to the right height minus the wafers. I do not like the way those master wafers make that lock feel when I pick it though. They feel really strange. I mean, I'm sure with enough practice I could probably get used to the way it feels. I don't like it. It annoys me, if that makes any sense. Okay, and all the pins are out, so we don't actually need a follower. We just need to make sure that we don't drop a side pin.
Help me get them onto the table.
Oh, that's right. I took the anti-drill. Actually, I lost one of the anti-drills out of this. It's out in my shop somewhere, actually. I've still got one. But I could go out there and find the other one, but I wasn't super worried about it. I'm not ever going to install this thing anywhere. There's a core. I guess I'll go ahead and pull out the sidebar for you guys, just so nobody can say I didn't get this completely. There's our sidebar.
Go get my medical kit.
And there's our plug. I will get a close-up of these pins here in 1 second.
Water and see if you can find an apron.
Here, let's... You'll have to forgive. My camera setup is the most jank thing you've ever seen in your life. But there's our close-up of our pins. And we are coming in at 30 minutes for a Medeco biaxial pick and gut. This is my first lock for purple belt. I could not have done this without the support from the LPU community. So I love you guys. Thank you for all the help, all the support you guys have given me on this lock. It's been a hard one, and this one's been a journey, but I see that in a positive light. I've learned from it. So thank you guys. Much love and God bless.